One key advantage that arbitration has over litigation is that parties are free to choose who and how many persons will decide their dispute.
In this case, the arbitration clause requires a tribunal of 3 arbitrators. Unless otherwise agreed, such a tribunal traditionally requires the claimant and the respondent to nominate 1 arbitrator each. These 2 nominees will in turn nominate the 3rd arbitrator, who shall preside over the tribunal. Under the SIAC rules, the president of the SIAC court formally appoints the arbitrators in accordance with the party's nominations. However, should a party fail to make a nomination within a specified number of days of receiving the other party's nomination, the president shall nominate and appoint an arbitrator on its behalf. Interestingly, SIAC's president also serves as one of the appointing authorities for all ad hoc arbitrations seated in Singapore, under the Singapore International Arbitration Act.
Parties have complete freedom as regards their nomination of an arbitrator, but it is no easy task, as we shall soon see. Meanwhile, ElectroAce has received its first communication from SIAC. It informs ElectroAce of Asianix's notice of arbitration and requests that ElectroAce file a response within 14 days of its receipt of the notice. It also invites ElectroAce to make a counterclaim, if it so wishes. The letter further requests that ElectroAce nominate an arbitrator within 28 days and pay a deposit to SIAC towards the estimated costs of the arbitration. ElectroAce is not particularly pleased to receive this letter.
What is all this? So many demands. The emergency arbitrator already ruled against us once. Arbitration may be just as futile. Can we refuse to participate?
Well, yes, we could refuse. But that doesn't mean that the tribunal can't proceed to issue an award against us anyway.
Really? They can do that? Is it like a default judgment in court where the defendant does not appear to defend himself?
Yes and no. You see, the SIAC rules actually contain several provisions giving a tribunal the power to proceed with an arbitration, even if one of the parties doesn't participate or doesn't comply with its orders or directions. This also gives them the power to make an award against non-participating party.
Just like that? Behind their backs?
Of course, not behind their backs. The tribunals will be at pains to ensure that the absent respondent is kept informed of every stage of the proceedings and will, of course, give due credence to what the respondent position might have been in considering the case on the merits. So it won't just be a slam dunk for the claimant simply because the respondent doesn't participate.
Good. I have no intention of letting Asianics slam us or dunk us.
However, if you choose not to participate, we are left with no forum to really make our case.
But we can take our case to court if the tribunal rules against us, can't we?
Unfortunately, that's not an option. Under SIAC rules, an arbitral award is final and binding on the parties, even if one of the parties did not participate.
So we can never take our case to court?
Yes, we can, but only to challenge the award on strict procedure grounds. We will have to find fault with the manner in which the tribunal conducted the proceedings, not the merits of the case.
Is it possible to find fault with their conduct?
Highly unlikely, especially if SIAC winds up appointing 2/3 of the tribunal because we did not appoint anyone. Anyone they appoint is likely to be extremely competent and fully versed in exactly how the arbitral proceedings must be conducted. They will probably also be very used to situations where a respondent doesn't participate.
Really? Then we're stuck. Okay, fine, we'll play along, if only just to argue our case on merits.
And so we should. We have a promising defense here.
I hope so. So if we do participate, what are the next steps?
We'll need to reply to both SIAC and the claimant within 14 days. Just a simple preliminary letter or email will do. as long as it contains the following things required by SIAC Rule 4. A confirmation or denial of all or part of the claims, any responding comments on applicable law or languages of arbitration,
Okay.
any proposal in relation to the number of arbitrators or nominations of arbitrators.
That's pretty clear.
At this stage, we must also file our counterclaim.
Of course, the sooner the better.
Agreed. My office will pay the filing fees and send the response. And we are also required to pay a share of deposits toward the estimated cost of arbitration as computed by SIAC.
Frankly, I don't get that part. Why should we be paying if they're the ones who picked the fight? Can we refuse to pay?
Well, the deposit required by SIAC covers both their claim and our counterclaim. So, if we don't pay our shares, SIAC will ask the tribunal to suspend work on either the claim or the counterclaim. Eventually, they can even consider the claim or the counterclaim to have been withdrawn.
It seems that you're trying to tell me in a roundabout way that we should pay.
The good news is that these costs are recoverable from the claimant if we are successful in this arbitration.
We'd better be successful, since that's the reason I'm hiring you guys. All right then, the tribunal. SIAC wants us to appoint an arbitrator. Considering the highly technical nature of the case, should we look for a technical expert in the power sector?
Well, it's true that the details are highly technical, but the disputed issues are actually strictly legal questions. And our defense of termination of the contract is force majeure. That's purely legal as well. So, what we need is an experienced arbitrator with a strong legal background.
I know who we need then. Our in-house counsel in the New York office. He's done a lot of arbitrations.
He has, but we can't choose him.
And why not?
Conflict of interest. Even the party-appointed arbitrator should be independent and act impartially. So we need someone independent.
Okay, experienced arbitrator, strong legal background, independent. It seems like you already have someone up your sleeve.
Well, not up my sleeve, but someone I would recommend. He has handled several major arbitrations and is known for producing fair and well-reasoned words.
Okay.
He has good working knowledge of the power sector, and his academic writings demonstrates fairly lenient views as regards force majeure events and their influence on the contractual performance.
He doesn't sound half bad, so he will vote in our favor?
Well, that's not exactly how it works. Arbitrators, once appointed, are required to be independent and impartial. SIAC will make them execute an undertaking of impartiality and independence in accordance to SIAC Code of Ethics for Arbitrators. So we can't expect our nominee to automatically be on our side.
Oh well, too bad. If we can't play with the rules, then we might as well play by them.
Unfortunately so. I'll check his availability and write to SIAC, nominating him and providing them with his contact details. They'll get in touch with him directly and carry out the conflict of interest evaluation, and will ask him to confirm his acceptance of the nomination.
All right then, let the games begin.
The impartiality and independence of arbitrators is of paramount importance to SIAC. To this end, SIAC requires its arbitrators to abide by a strict code of ethics, which is publicly available on its website.